Hi, I'm Sharlene Lee. Welcome to Your New Chapter, the podcast for women who are starting over and ready to do the work of rebuilding from the inside out, stepping into who they're becoming with clarity and intention. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Your New Chapter. Thanks for spending some of your time with me today. Today we're talking about an idea that many women hold in their mind but don't realize it and don't realize that it's not true. And that is the idea that starting over means starting from nothing. Whether you chose the new chapter you're embarking on or it chose you, the feeling of staring at what looks like a blank slate can feel overwhelming, to say the least. Whether you're looking at your life and thinking everything I had, everything I built, everything I was is just gone, I have to start all over again from nothing. Or you've chosen a new direction, but you're feeling like because you're starting something brand new, you're starting from nothing. I know it can feel that way, but today I want to challenge the idea that you're starting from nothing because I don't think it's true, and by the end of this episode, my hope is that you will realize that the idea that you're starting from nothing actually isn't true. We'll talk about why this sense of starting from nothing seems so real. We'll look at why you need to challenge the idea that you're starting from nothing, even if you have lost everything. And we'll look at what you can do practically to overcome this idea that you're starting from nothing. And before we get into it, I have something really practical for you at the end of today's episode. Something that I've created to help you to see concretely, not just theoretically, exactly how much you are already bringing into this new chapter. So stay with me until the end. How you feel is real. It may not be 100% true, but it is real, and I want to acknowledge how you may be feeling because one of the most unhelpful things anyone can do when a person says something like, I feel like I'm starting from nothing, is to immediately jump to the positive and say, oh no, you're not. Think of everything you have. Yes, we know that's true, but that can feel dismissive. And the feeling that you have deserves more than that. So let's just first sit with it for a moment. Not to have a pity party, because I've learned when you send out invites to this kind of party, nobody comes. But when the life you've built changes, when the career disappears, when the relationship ends, when the identity you wrapped yourself around is gone, it genuinely can feel like the ground under you is no longer solid ground. So now you're in transition, but when you look forward, you can't yet see what comes next. You're in what I call the in-between, and that blank space can feel really terrifying rather than full of possibility, even if you've chosen to reinvent yourself, not because of any negative circumstance. And so I just want to acknowledge all of the feelings around that. Now, in the episode, What Brings Us to the Point of Starting Over or Rebuilding, we talked about the different ways women arrive at this place. The forced shifts, the evolutionary shifts, the internal shifts. And regardless of which one brought you here, the disorientation that follows a major life shift is real. The feeling that you have nothing left to build from, that everything you had is gone, is real, and that feeling makes complete sense. But here's what's also true. It's not the whole picture, and that's what I want to show you today. So let's talk about what is actually true. What is true is that despite what you see around you, the losses you've incurred, or how strong your feelings are, you're not starting from nothing, not even close. Now, I know that for some listening, you may be thinking, but you don't know my situation. I have lost everything. There are people facing situations where they've lost homes, jobs, relationships, finances have dwindled. I know this because I speak to so many women who are in so many different types of situations. And so if you are in this type of situation, I recognize it as a reality. But while you may not want to hear it, I am still going to bring the encouragement that even in those situations, you are still not starting with nothing. Let me walk you through what you're actually bringing with you into this new chapter. And as I do, I want you to just notice, really notice, because I think this is going to surprise you. The first thing you bring with you is your experience, everything you've been through, every challenge you've navigated, every difficult season you've survived, every decision you've had to make and learned from. This has given you a depth of experience that no one can take from you. You know things about yourself, about people, about life that you simply did not know prior to this point in life. That, my friend, is not nothing. That's genuinely invaluable, and it comes with you. The next things are your skills and strengths. The skills you've developed over the years, professional, personal, practical, they don't disappear because your circumstances change. Even if you've chosen to pivot and start a whole new career or business venture, everything you learned in your previous roles will serve you in your new season, even if you're not entirely sure what that new thing looks like just yet. And the strengths you've discovered about yourselves along the way, for example, your resilience, your ability to keep going when things are hard, your creativity, maybe even your patience or capacity to connect with people. Those were developed through everything you've lived through. They are part of who you are now, and they come with you too. The next is your wisdom. Life teaches you a lot. Mistakes, good times, not so good times. The experiences you've had made you wiser, and it's that wisdom that will aid you as you navigate the new chapter you're creating for yourself. The next thing is your relationships and your connections. Even when relationships shift during a transition, and they do, we talked about this in our episode on holistic rebuilding, there are usually people who remain, who show up when it matters, who hold you when you cannot hold yourself. And beyond personal relationships, professional connections, networks, people who know your work and your character, those don't disappear either. They are part of what you bring into the new chapter. There will even be connections that you made in the past that you didn't even realize would be important for where you're going. The last thing I'm going to talk about here, and you know I love to talk about this, is your identity. Perhaps most powerfully of all, you bring yourself. The things we've been talking about across all of the past episodes, uncovering your true identity, clarifying your values, understanding who you truly are at your core, none of that can be taken from you by any circumstance. As we talked about in the episode, One Reason Rebuilding Your Life Can Feel So Hard, and Why Identity is the Answer, your true identity exists underneath every role, every season, every version of yourself you have ever been. It's yours, always. And it's the most important thing you are taking into whatever you build next. So your experience, your skills, your strength, your wisdom, your relationships, your identity, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from everything you've become, and that's more than enough to build something extraordinary. Now, I promised you something at the start of today's episode, and here it is. Because I want you to be able to see for yourself all that you're bringing into your new chapter, I've created a free PDF audit that I'm calling the Starting Over Audit. And it's designed to do exactly what we've been doing in this episode, but in a way that you can hold in your hands and actually see. It walks you through each of the areas we've just covered: your experience, your skills, your strength, your wisdom, your relationships, and your identity, and gives you space to write down what you actually have in each of those areas. This is important because sometimes we need to see it written down in front of us before it really lands. And when you have a page, or maybe more than one page, full of everything you're bringing into this new chapter, something shifts. Your whole life is not going to be sorted and reorganized overnight, but the blank slate stops feeling so blank, and the new chapter starts feeling a lot more possible. So there's a link in the description here in the show notes for your free download. Go and grab it after the episode. It won't take long, and I think you're going to find it really, really encouraging. So, as always, let's bring this all together, friends. Today we talked about the limiting belief that many women believe about themselves, and that's that they're starting from nothing. We sat with that feeling and acknowledged how real and how understandable it is. And then we looked at what is actually true. Everything you're bringing with you into your new chapter, your experience, your skills, your strength, your wisdom, your relationships, your identity. I want you to remember this. You are not starting from nothing. You're starting from everything you've become, and that is more than you realize. So friends, thank you for listening today. Download the free Starting Over Audit. The link is in the show notes. And thank you so much for being here today. Take care of yourself this week, and I'll see you in the next episode.